Access granted. Welcome to the Bunker Codes podcast. Nothing here is medical, dental, vision, legal, or financial advice. We're all on the same team, wishing for peaceful resolution where everyone can get along and be left alone. Enjoy your stay. Bye.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of I'm Gonna Talk, and you're gonna listen. I know I just did one of these, but I don't care. I'm gonna do another one. So the topic, really quick, is gonna be like how to talk to your neighbors. I've done this podcast several times before, but I'm not sure what I titled it. It's easier for me to just do it again. Your neighbors are obviously like the strongest thing that you've got for, a million reasons. The neighborhood's safer, you find out about things faster, you take care of each other. You don't know if the overpass or the bridge or the road's going to ice over, and your neighborhood's all you got, whether it's a subdivision or you're out in the middle of nowhere. So how do you talk to your neighbors? People are going to say, go to church. That doesn't help you. Doesn't help you talk to anybody. So you have to have, you don't even have to be social, to like break the ice with your neighbors. It could just be something simple like, hey, your cows got out. But but you don't even necessarily need an icebreaker. But in the subdivisions, you're going to have a lot more opportunities. So let's start with the times that you're going to probably, because you can't really talk to people in church anyway. And when you're at the store, usually people are trying to shop and they don't want to get distracted and forget something or get robbed, right? Parking lots, you could get jacked. Could be a distraction. You never know. So the prime time to talk to people is typically where they're most comfortable or where you're most comfortable. It's going to be at your house or their house, across a fence or something. So you could both be, weeding or gardening, if it's the spring, summer, fall. Or if you're so the place where I started kind of breaking the ice in my new neighborhood was the feed store, the farm, whatever. So every teeny tiny itty bitty town, it's almost like mandatory to have a couple things: a car shop, a feed store, and like a local corner store and a couple other things. At the local corner store, if nobody's busy, you usually talk to the gals at checkout. If they're not busy, because they know everything. If you're at your house, you talk to like the mail. All the mail people all know everything, right? But you're still saying, well, this is only like, where to talk to them. And you just said church was don't talk to them at church. Well, yeah, church isn't a social place. And you certainly don't just want to walk into a strange church and be like, hey, what's cracking? People are, it's complicated. So at your house, though, or at their house, or at the feed store, they're in a different mindset, right? And so the most important thing is to be humble. Don't force how you think things should go on them. They have been living in the area quite possibly way longer than you. So question number one should always be, besides, hey, how about the weather, is unless something urgent's actually going on, like, holy shit, I think there's a coyote over there, what do you do about that? Or hey, are there any houses that direction? Just wonder where all the houses are at. Think, there's other better ways to word that, like, how close are all the nearest houses? Or if you can get the names of all your neighbors. But, you might need to work up to that. It just depends. if it comes up in conversation. I've had some neighbors that'll just be like, oh, this neighbor's this neighbor's this neighbor, easy peasy. Even though you can find all of that online, if your neighbors find out you've cyber stalked all of their information, they're not going to trust you. So humility, and then the first question is always, how long have you lived here? If they say they just moved there, they're not going to know very much, and they're going to get irritated if you ask them a million questions. So don't assume they've been living there forever. That being said, don't do what I do, which is assume that everybody moved there, because chances are, if they have a job there, and I'm stupid, I totally should have picked up on this a long time ago. If they have a job there, they've lived there their whole life. And you're going to look like a fool by asking, where did you come from? Because you just look like a piece of shit. Just trust me. The other thing is, like, they all already know that you're new there. They have all already told everybody about you, everybody. The whole town already knows that you're new. Right? They are already not going to trust you. Because every small town in the US is getting subverted simultaneously. They all already know this. You can catch up on a lot of that quickly without bugging your neighbors, if your town has a free newspaper. Our town has a free newspaper, and I shit you not, you can learn almost everything that you need to know from that thing. Because they don't care. They will write everything in that newspaper because they want everybody to know who the shitbag is and who's been effing their town. They are hardcore. It doesn't matter if they're left, right, green, blue, purple. Those little newspapers are going to tell you who to watch out for. And all of the town money drama and all of the town legislative budget, you can learn all of that in the newspaper. Your town hall? Okay, perfect. Oh, this show's filmed in front of a live studio audience. So, okay, I should caveat that. There was a town in Oregon recently where their accountant stole all of their money the day before Christmas, and their newspaper did have to shut down. They stole tens of thousands of dollars, just robbed them dry. It was their accountant. He stole every penny they had just before their Christmas party, and he had just been talking to all of them. This was widely publicized. And the town came together and gave them enough money to pay everybody and get going again. So they should all have a paper. If they don't, that kind of sucks. But then, yeah, the town hall. The other thing, so at your local corner store, there's usually a cork board. Everything's posted there. If it's not posted at the cork board in the corner store, there's going to be a cork board at your feed store. This is where you learn 90% of what you need to know. You need to do a lot of your own research, otherwise they're going to think you're somebody that just wants everything hand-fed to them. So the first question always is how, you lived here your whole life? Something to that effect. If they all have jobs in town, they've all already lived there their whole life. So you don't even need to ask. And then so the next question, again, humility. Oh yeah, the corkboard at the post office. Yep, that's right. I know I feel bad. I feel bad about the post office. I went to the post office, and then they started having me like move stuff around. And I'm like, I should have just asked like on the spot, like, do you guys want me to just come to the post office after work and like help you guys with stuff? Does anyone work here, or is it just you? Anyway, the mail people, mail, FedEx, UPS, USPS, UPS, and FedEx will tell you tons of stuff. They are a wealth of information. You can ask them things about things like, what are the roads like in the winter? Does this place, keep power really good through the winter? You can learn tons of things like that. But from your neighbors specifically, you start really humble, right? And say like, hey, how long? You lived here your whole life? Oh, okay, cool. Do you live on like a lot of acreage? And normally these things would sound like you're prodding and being can't think of the right word, being nosy or whatever. But after you've broken the ice with them, they usually love to tell you where their property's at and how much of it is, and if they have a creek on it, and then the first thing they'll ask you, like, oh, did you have chickens? And I always go, no, I don't have chickens, but I hear the chickens around. I'm just not ready for chickens yet. But I usually say, like, I have deer, and so I'm always trying to keep the deer from eating everything. And so trying to figure out some things that you have in common. Like, oh, there's a million deer around here, huh? Chat says, our post office lady was totally unhelpful. She's better now. I remember that. I remember you told me that. Like, she didn't even want to help you, like, change your address. Oh, man. You wouldn't think, you'd think that it would be nosy, like, asking how much acreage, but, like, I have 2 acres. So I always go, I have 2 acres. Like, how many acres do you have? I'm like, they'll be like, oh, I have 100 acres. And it's like, holy crap, did you get that like 10 years ago? Yeah, I got it like 10 years ago when everything was like dirt cheap. And you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. You got a creek on it? Yeah, we got a creek on it. And then like I'll go, oh, does the water have like year round? Oh, yeah, it does. And throughout this whole conversation, you might be thinking to yourself, man, in the city, nobody would ever tell anybody this stuff. But in rural areas, people like to share a lot of this information, not because like information's power, but like I remember the first thing everybody asked me was, they're like, okay, well, you've got 3 pear trees and an apple tree, what are you gonna do with those? That was like the first thing everybody asked me. I'm like, well, I'm gonna eat it all and try to dehydrate it all. I'm like, but you're welcome to share some if you help me, pick them. But you got to realize, like, everybody has pear trees, everybody has apple trees, because someone 100 years ago coated the whole area with them, Johnny Appleseed or something. So you're not that special with only a couple trees. You're not that special with grapes. And although some of you in like subdivisions might be like, this isn't helping me at all. So the icebreakers in a suburban area, in a subdivision, the icebreakers are like really different. Like you can usually find out on like Nextdoor who like the raging psychopaths are in your subdivision and cyberstalk the hell out of them. Don't do anything bad, but after 20 minutes on Nextdoor, you can have a spreadsheet of like 75 people and probably 50 of them are going to be psychopaths. It's just like, in a subdivision, you're lucky to find like one good person that you can actually network with, and that is a lot harder. You do have to be way more reserved. Sometimes it's as simple as them having an American flag. Sometimes that's not so simple. Sometimes you can figure out what everyone's registered to vote, but most Republicans are absolutely fake rhinos now. It's the same thing with church. Like, okay, you can go to church, but a lot of Christians are just absolutely fake. so you have to judge a person by the content of their character. Sometimes you can just tell those things from the vehicles they drive, or even by the way they park their vehicles, or how many vehicles they have outside their houses. Like, from there you can deduce pretty quick who are your highest potential people to talk to. You'll know there because they have chickens. Yeah, that's the way it is here too. I notice everybody has started getting chickens again, but I wonder if that's because they think the coyotes are gone. But I don't think they think the coyotes are gone. The dogs have been going crazy lately, so I really do suspect there's coyotes again. But you guys don't have coyotes, do you? See, here's the thing. Like, you're listening to me talk to my chat right now. This is exactly how I talk to people. I'm like, oh, you guys have chickens? Are you worried about the coyotes? No, we're not worried about the coyotes. We took care of them, and we'll watch that they're back. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Where'd you get your chicken supplies? You know, and they'll tell you. You just act really humble. In subdivisions, it's different. Like, there was like really far lefty Lou neighbors that we had when in our last subdivision, and we were still the house that they came to where they were like, hey, we have to go on vacation, come pick up all of our mail for a week. I'm like, really? You guys are like pretty far left boomers. But they weren't stupid. They still trusted us to go get their mail. Chat says coyotes are well fed looking around here. Yeah, that's scary. Chat says we have coyotes, but they aren't that bad in the neighborhood. We see them a lot outside though. Yeah. I'm surprised the deer don't just like kick the coyotes in the heads. I mean, the deer here are massive. You'd think they could just like kick a coyote into freaking silly putty. Anyway. So what other questions do I ask? I don't ask any gun questions at all. Unless I go, oh, I hear a lot of people shooting around here. Is there like a gun range that everybody likes to go to? And they'll usually go, no, everyone likes to shoot at their house. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. And that's where you're like, well, okay, which directions are all the houses at? But honestly, you can go on Google Maps in 2 seconds and figure out where every house is at. Or you can be like, hey, all that's forest. Who owns that over there? Oh, no, that's the Forestry Service. And you're like, okay, cool. How's your well water? You guys got good well water? Oh yeah, we got great well water. Like, you just, it seems weird, but you're just really humble. And you just ask really humble questions. Like, your first many interactions should just be asking humble questions and then baking some cookies for them or something. Or if it's Christmas, remembering to bring them a Christmas card. That's kind of step 1. And then step 2 is you just remember that they are always watching you. All of them are always watching you, and they are all talking about you because they are all trying to figure out if they can trust you. You think you're trying to figure out if you can trust them, you're not the big dog. There's hundreds of them, and they're trying to figure out if they can trust you because they can't even have one weak link because they are constantly under threat of getting infiltrated. Here, it's by Californians and Oregonians. Even half of the Oregonians don't friggin' trust each other. Half the Washingtonians don't trust each other. Nobody trusts 2/3 of California. It's just like actions speak louder than words. Like, are they driving a Prius or a Tesla? like here, tons and tons and tons and tons. They all have pickup trucks. Half of them have, not half of them. Some of them have muscle cars. And I think the kids just like drive around beat up Hondas, but they're not like, street racer Hondas. They're like, legit beat up Hondas. And so anyone not from around here sticks out really quick. So just remember that they're always watching you. So when it's raining, go outside, do stuff, because they'll see you, because they are all outside. When it's snowing, go outside. When it's nice out, go outside, go work on things. Try to go outside every day and try to work on something, because they will see you trying to work on things. And eventually, they'll start to ask you how you're doing with whatever the hell it is you're trying to do. Try not to be a douchebag, because chances are one of them eventually probably owns your property, or one of their family members owns your property, so don't say stupid douchey things about the property or the house, because one of them probably used to own it. Chances I have a 99 and an 08 Honda. Hell yeah. That's the thing, like, anything pre-08 now is money, because thanks Obama, Cash for Clunkers destroyed all the vehicles before 08. Jet says going outside and working is how I met my neighbors. Yeah, and that works in subdivisions and in rural areas. In subdivisions, we would just walk the subdivision constantly until eventually we met everybody. In rural areas, you can still go jogging and you can still go bike riding. You just got to be more careful. We have several people that bike ride, country roads. Country roads. They don't say anything. But the people that jog up and down the country roads, they'll stop and talk to you. Just by being outside. They will stop and talk to you. Especially if you don't have a dog that's trying to kill them. People are gonna slow down and stare at you a lot in their cars too, because their brain can't piece together that all of a sudden somebody's there that didn't used to be there, and so they will just stare at you. They'll stop and stare right at your house. Like, they're not psychopaths. They're just like trying to process what's going on. They are gonna look at you weird when you put up security cameras, but they'll get over it. Yeah, oh my gosh, it still happens. Half the time they're just flat out staring right at us, and half the time they're staring at the deer or the cows. So, oh yeah, it freaked me out. I thought we were going to get raided by the neighbors so many damn times. And eventually most of them stopped doing it. Here's the other thing. When they drive by, wave at them. Even if you can't see if they're waving back at you, and even if you have no idea who's driving the vehicle, just wave at them. They don't know that you can't see them. And the more you wave at them, the more it's going to show that you aren't scared of them. And they're more apt to talk to you later. When you actually can see them. Play with their dogs. So I was playing with the neighbor's dog. Like the neighbor's dog hated me. And then slowly but surely, it started taking its toy over to me. And then I started throwing its toy for it. And then eventually it just ignored me and didn't care anymore. So people watch you. People understand that stuff. Oh, that's funny. The other thing I did, we did a lot of stuff we turned down how long our spotlights stay on. For some reason, the past owners had their spotlights, big floodlights, stay on forever. Which, a friggin' butterfly farts and turns those damn things on, and it's just annoying as shit. Make your house, here's another thing, like, make your house feel welcome. So when it's Christmas time, put up Christmas lights. When it's the 4th of July, put out your American flag. Like, that shit is a big deal to them. If you have the kind of lawn that needs to be mowed, mow your lawn. You know, try to keep things looking semi-decent. You know, put out LEDs with the solar panels on them so everyone can see your house. They're gonna blink sometimes, but like, when you're living out in the middle of nowhere, everything is pitch black. Everything. And you might be in an area with just metric tons of fog. And so, exactly. Chat says it's weird. No one here leaves a porch light on at night. It's all dead dark. Yes. And not only that, it destroys your night vision. So everyone drives by and your floodlights just friggin' burn their eyeballs out in the middle of the night. And people are driving around here at like 2 a.m. So we just have like little super cheap. Well, they're not cheap anymore. Those LEDs that just run on the solar panels. The teeny tiny solar panels. We have those everywhere. We have them all over the yard and all over the fences. Don't dox me. Don't dox me, bro. Because we're out in the middle of nowhere. And people know that you're not scared. You're not trying to hide. I have all of the shades of all of my windows are always open. Like, I'm not hiding. That was a weird thing I learned from The Stand. Michael, what's his name? Michael Keaton, Michael Crichton, Michael Bolton, Stephen King. There we go. Thank you. Stephen King said that in The Stand. There was this part, and it's like, people in their house with the shades drawn have something to hide or something. And it was when that guy was hiding his book in the chimney. And yes, yeah, the other thing, no one leaves the porch lights on unless they're not there. Yeah. Yep. Unless they're running those like light bulb power things. But yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of like a lot of word salad. I hope that's not a lot of word salad, but maybe it's kind of a lot of word salad. That's how we did it though, and we still are not there. No, they just don't. Nobody wants to see you two being all nasty, so you keep your shades drawn. They're like, oh, those two weirdos. We're still not there. This is 6, 7, 8 months. 6, 7, 7.5, 8 months. And we're still not there yet. You know, we've had some false steps. I've said some dumb things. You know, there's been some false positives on stuff that we thought was going on. But, you know, sometimes we try to be helpful too. There's times where we could have... There's times when we could have become friends a lot faster. But, you know... It's never going to be a perfect time to meet your neighbors. Like, that's the thing. Like, you might not be ready to talk to them, but they might be ready to talk to you. And that shit's like, it's just like any other really, and I don't want to say it's like dating, because it's not like dating, but like, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be a perfect time for you to talk to them. It's never going to be a perfect time for them to talk to you. I don't drink, so that doesn't help. And I'm also not a handy fix-it man, so that's not really helpful. We don't have a lot to bond over, and they don't really need my help for anything. There's tons of them. That's the thing. They're not going to need your help for anything. So you don't really have anything to offer them. Your main goal is to not somehow make things worse. And then you can say things like, "Oh, I see you guys got a lot of grapes. What do you do with the grapes? Do you make jelly?" "Oh, cool, you guys make jelly. Okay. I see you guys have pears. What do you do with the pears?" And then they go, "Oh, either we dehydrate them or we freeze dry them." "Oh, cool, you'll have to tell me what freeze dryer you use, because I'm looking for a freeze dryer too." You just keep acting humble and asking tons of questions. Here's another really good question. Probably one of the most important questions. Which car repair shop around here can I actually trust? No joke. No joke, that's probably one of the most important questions you can ask. That was one of the first things. I'm like, question number 1 was, where's the damn feed store? And then question number 2 is, which one of these auto repair shops can I trust? And dude, they will tell you. They will tell you. Oh boy. They will be like, do not under any circumstances go to this place, you go to this place. And they're right, because they've been living here forever. Say, "Hey, who checks out your septic?" "Oh, it's septic XYZ people." "Okay, where, if you have horses or cows or something, hey, where do you get hay around here? Hey, where do you get gravel around here? Hey, where do you get your T-posts around here? Hey, where do you get your chicken wire? Where do you get your fencing? Hey, do you have a fencing? Do you have a fencing system?" Like, our neighbors can put up like miles of fencing in no time. It is stupid. They have an auger, they stretch the fence out, and they can do like an acre of fence in so fast you can't even like register that what's going on. And yes, you cannot trust Google reviews especially with car repair. Same thing with like, hey, where do I get good food around here? Right? Like, that's how you do it. Subdivisions, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because you cannot trust most of those people. Period. Like, you have to do 100 times the recon. You've got to walk your neighborhood sometimes for weeks or months before you'll meet everybody. One of the things that helped us meet our neighbors faster in everywhere we've ever lived in the subdivisions is because we got other people's mail pretty much every day. No joke. Or Walmart like misdelivered stuff every week. So if Walmart like misdelivers something, sometimes we'd meet like 2-3 new neighbors that way. Also, if you're in subdivisions, if you do run into the chatty neighbor that wants to tell you everything, ask them which houses rent and which houses own, because that'll tell you a lot too. And you can also tell how old the subdivision is by looking online at when the houses are built, and that'll tell you how long people have been living there. So I am not perfect at this. I have screwed a few things up. If we had been ready to talk to our neighbors at a couple of different times where we didn't realize that they were ready to talk to us, things would be going way better for us right now. But this next summer, I have to be outside working my ass off. So they see that I am outside working my ass off. I have to work on my garden. I have to get more trees planted. And I've already done amazing on the yard for the insanity that went on. But like this year, I've got to kill it in my yard. I've got to have a garden. I've got to start trying to grow new stuff. I got to get my rhubarb out there. I've got to get some more gravel down. I got to get some more dirt dropped off. I've got to help get a new well house built. We've got to get a bunch of our rotted windows fixed. You might think, why are you giving me this whole list? Are you e-begging? I'm like, no, these are the things that your neighbors will notice, that you're putting in the sweat equity to actually give a shit about your place. So another example, it was snowing and raining and freezing and icing and shit out. I was outside in the snow and ice and freezing rain with my new avalanche tool, trying to get as much snow off the roof. And 2 different neighbors stopped and asked what I was doing. They saw that I was out there and just the freezing nasty, hey, thank you for the gifted sub. They saw that I was out there in like the nasty freezing rain stuff in 6 inches of frozen snow and ice, and they thought I was silly at first. And I said, no, I'm getting prepared in case it gets worse. And I gained a lot of respect. That way. So people see this stuff. They see that you're pruning your bushes. They see that you're keeping your deck. They see when things start collecting on your decks. They see when you're consistently putting out hummingbird juice. They see when you're trying to help take care of the yellow jackets. They see all of these things. So you might be saying, like, Chance, what the hell are you talking about? Most of your communication to your neighbors, if it's not obvious by now, is going to be nonverbal communication. Actions speak a billion times louder than words. If you keep working on your place, they're going to resonate with that. They're going to tell everybody that you're working on your place and that you're not going to be a drain on whatever they've got going. And hopefully it's not some freaking Hills Have Eyes cannibal shit, but you never know. It depends on where you live. They want to make sure that you're not going to be a drain on their resources if the shit hits the fan, right? Because they're getting effed on their taxes. They're getting effed on their jobs. They've got Elle and I probably sweating their nuts. And all kinds of inspectors and all kinds of taxes and taxes and taxes. Like, they're all getting screwed, and they don't want someone taking them down, or ratting them out if they're doing something in the gray. So someone who's going to look out for their property, especially if they have a massive property, chances are you're going to be on some of their property helping keep an eye out. So it's a lot of nonverbal communication. It's not perfect, but no, you're not just going to get on like radios with them right away, even though that would make sense. You're not going to get entrances to their property to help them, even though that would make sense. Like, they are worried about keeping what they have. You are a big threat to them. Way more. Yes, are they a threat to you? Absolutely. But you can't think about your perception. You have to think about their perception. That's, I don't know, like, it's nonverbal communication, almost all of it. And eventually they'll warm up to you. It could take years. It could never happen. We've had some setbacks, but this year I have a chance to make it a lot better by working on the yard more. Being out in the yard, working out in my garden. Make some of your garden close to your neighbor's house and your neighbor's garden. You'll have more chances to talk to them. their dog will get used to you. You know, make sure your lights aren't shining in their windows. You know, if you have a bunch of cameras out, don't point your cameras right at their houses. You know, it's things like that. I feel like there was one more thing. I feel like there's one more thing I was trying to say. Get their phone numbers. See if, you know, they prefer texting or calling. You know, if you telework, you know, let them know when you're going to be gone, because they'll watch over your house. And then you can watch over their house and figure out if they have 8,000 family members that are going to be coming and going, and try to learn all of their names, even though it's going to be impossible. Chances are, if you've met one of them, they probably have like 50 family members that live on your road. Which is wild. It's wild. And just in general, just stay out of the way and stay friendly. And sooner or later, you know, if they're doing a bunch of dehydration, or if they're doing a bunch of canning, or if they're doing a bunch of jarring, or if they're doing a bunch of food savoring, or if they're doing a bunch of food deep freeze drying, they might invite you to say, hey, we're doing a bunch of freeze drying, you want to bring those pears over? You go, hell yeah, I do. And then you'll have an excuse to just keep. And I know it sucks, because I just said like tons of social stuff, and you might not be a social. I am not a social person. I do not like talking to people. I don't. I'm so afraid I'll say something stupid, because I say stupid stuff a lot. You said most of your neighbors are all related. I'm pretty sure like 70% of our neighbors are all related. Yeah. Get your ham license. Figure out on the ham repeater book what the closest repeaters are. Talk on the repeaters. And if you have CB, try talking on the CB. And that's another good way to break the ice. Just make sure to get your ham license. Don't screw around with that, but that'll open a lot of doors for you too. So, didn't lose everybody 10 seconds into it by saying the church thing. Church is not the right way to go about it. Although if the Mormons do come to your door, which they will, especially if you've got a Mormon church in town, ask them a bunch of stuff. The Mormons aren't your enemies. If you're not Mormon, they're probably not going to help you directly, but they will still be amicable enough to give you information. And then they'll try to recruit you all the time, because that's what they do. If you're lucky enough to have Seventh-day Adventists, you might have more luck. It just depends. Some of the Seventh-day Adventists can be kind of extreme, but maybe that's your deal. The Foursquare churches are kind of soft, but they try. But some of them are subverted and overran. Chances our church has almost no one from our neighborhood anyway. Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a Mormon church, and I bet you a huge chunk of this area is Mormon. So if you don't, it must be by how many cars I see out there. So if you don't go to that Mormon church, you are cut off from any direct help, probably from any of those people. So there is a good chance that all of our neighbors, all the related ones, there's a good chance they're all Mormon. In which case, then we're never going to make inroads with them. But you're right. There's a chance that there's a much nicer, probably Christian. It doesn't look like a Lutheran church. Maybe a Pentecostal. Maybe it's a Pentecostal. I don't know. Here's another thing. If you're going to talk about church stuff, you need to know what the F you are talking about. And I don't mean, well, I can recite Psalm 3:16 and be one of those people that just recites. I mean no offense by this. Do not, if you are going to try to go the church avenue, do not assume anything about the church that you're going into. You still need to be humble, because church politics these days is insane. Yeah, there you go. Mormons are virtue preppers. They prep for themselves and other Mormons. 100%. And they will cut you off so damn fast if you show any weakness or if you are down on your luck. Now, some people might say that I'm overgeneralizing. No. Every Mormon I've ever met will cut you off the second you show weakness or the second you're affecting their little bubble. If you're not with them, you're against them. If you don't mess with them, you'll coexist with them, but they sure as hell aren't going to go out of their way to help you if you're not in their bubble. And you have to be really careful with like the Pentecostal, the Lutherans, like you don't know until you've sat there for a while. And there's some giveaways where that church really leans, like really leans, you know. You might have to sit through a couple sermons. You know, don't just walk into the church and assume that, oh, they follow God and Jesus died for their sins. This isn't secretly a cult where they eat children or whatever. Like, do not assume. Humility, listen, keep your eyes and ears open. I mean, I hate saying that because that's gonna offend some people, but like, there's so many fake religious people out there that it's, and there's a lot of fake political people out there too. At least you'll be a shamed outsider, but they'll smile at you. Well, and at least they won't destroy your house. You know, they're not vindictive. You just get cut off from all resources and interaction. Minor details. However, some of the Mormon churches are going further left now, which opens up an interesting can of worms. My point is, don't go the church route. Not without keeping both eyes and both ears and both noses open. It might be better to stay neutral for a while, because every single one of them is going to try to get you to go to their church. Full stop. And every single one of them is going to tell you that their church is the right church to go to. That's why, like, if you're listening right now and I don't know you and you're a God-fearing person and you have your church and my church, like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, like, if you go to a new neighborhood and you've never been to those churches, every single one of those people knows that they haven't seen you at church. Every single one of them is going to try to get you to go to their church. Every single one of them is going to tell you that their church is the best church. So if you know enough, you know, about every single subdivision of Christianity, you know, you can ask, well, do you believe, you know, Jesus died for your sins? Okay. You believe it was a virgin birth? Okay. Do you believe God and Jesus are exactly the same thing? and then just kind of sit there and feel them out. And then if that goes well, you ask them if they think the rapture is real or not. And you don't be condescending. You just humbly ask questions. And then if they ask you what you think, you just, I don't know. Jesus died for my sins, and I believe he was a virgin birth, and I think it's possible that the rapture might take a while. He might wait until things are really bad before there's a rapture. And see if they lose their freaking mind. No, the rapture is definitely gonna be a pre-trib rapture. And then you just, okay, which church was that? And then you keep a little notepad. The booth of shame. You get to sit in the nosebleeds. When you go to heaven, you're just going to be sitting on the outside in the cold, listening to his preachings on a giant speaker. Yeah, we should have gone to church on like Christmas Eve. That would have been cool. I think that's one of the only times I really, really, really liked going to church was on Christmas Eve. And what, like Easter, maybe? I don't think so. I don't think I really went to Easter very much. Easter, church, Christmas much. Easter. You know what I mean? The point is like, if you know enough about the Bible, and if you know enough about generally how each church works, you can still humbly figure them out without it seeming like you're tearing their beliefs apart. And until you are really sure which church you want to go to, and do a lot of research, especially a lot of research on the pastor, like you can go, do you seasonal churches, seasonal heathens? Oh my gosh. Seasonal I forgot the name all of a sudden. Yeah, seasonal heathens. What are they called? I can't think of the word. Seasonal druids. No, that's not right. See if their church, like, does your church have a website? Does your church, holiday Christians, exactly. Does your church stream their church service? So, see, you can learn a lot that way without exposing yourself too much. And then if you're really lucky, they're all online, and you can just watch them all and figure out which ones are super far left leaning and which ones are cults, and they have staffs with freaking eyeballs on them and stuff. I have seen almost every kind of church there is, and most of them probably shouldn't exist. It's creepy. The whole church situation's creepy. So I would keep all of the churches at arm's length until you're absolutely sure. Just for your own safety. It's not worth the risk to me. Not when you can go to the feed store and probably learn more in 10 minutes. Because in every small town there's like 10 churches. Like, as soon as you go to one of them, the other 9 are gonna figure it out. It's just really, really weird. So you might be better off even going to a church that's further away, not in your town. You might, if you feel like you need to go to a church to speak to God because you believe that church is a place and it's more powerful there, your best bet is to go to a church probably the next town over. Don't go to the church in your town right away. Yes, yeah, thank you. Exactly. Changing churches is a sin there. Yeah, if you're seeing, oh gosh, if you're seeing as like a church hopper, oh my gosh, like I can't, that would be such a, I don't even know what they do to that. Your last church got butthurt. It's funny too, because like, if you go to a new church, they kind of try to do like the church background check. Like you're switching banks. They just assume you have another bank. They just assume you have another church. They want to know what church you came from. They're going to go research that church. And it's really invasive and disgusting and very unchristian. Yeah, their heads spin and they start vomiting peas. Pea soup. Yeah, I don't hate churches. But they're ran by people. And a lot of them are ran by very, 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 very corrupt people. Yeah. You put your hand in the faith box full of rattlesnakes. Go come over here and get shocked by the holy power of car batteries and jumper cables. I'm not saying all churches are bad. I'm saying if you spiritually believe that you need to go to a church in a new area, go to a church outside of your area, period. Do not go to the churches inside your town. You will get identified. Period. The Mormons are going to know immediately. You never go to them. If you're not a Mormon, you never go to a Mormon church. Period. Unless you're invited. However, understand if you get invited to a Mormon church, that means they're expecting you to convert. If you leave, they're going to tell everybody. Even if you're going there for the chicks, don't do it. They will invite you and say there's lots of girls there. Do not do it. It's a trap. Yeah, once you get invited, you can't leave. Oh my god. Anyway, I am not trying to shit on religions, but I'm telling you, this is how you communicate in a new area. It's a lot of nonverbal communication. It's a bigger list of things that you don't do. You told them you were just there to see the sermons, trying to find our church, and they had a sign up. Nice. Yeah, that's exactly why you try to find the church online. Try to see if the church has a website. Try to see if they stream the sermon live or if they have some past sermons. And you can figure out everything safely. And then you can be like, what did they just say? And then open up your Bible and be like, what the hell Bible are they reading from? Or you see like a statue of a goat and you're like, all right, never mind. People don't know what the internet is there. You'd be surprised. Because some people are like bound to their church for life. And no matter where they move in the US or the world, they will like freaking VPN back into that church until that pastor leaves or gets voted out by the grand church poobah. Yeah, some of the churches here stream too, and I've told them, I'm like, if you guys care about security, streaming your sermons is not safe. If you care about security, unless you want to really, really beef up your security, because churches are a prime target. Anyway, I've talked about churches for long enough. Hopefully I haven't pissed anybody off. Look, I'm just keeping it real. Okay. Paladin is right in the name. I'm keeping it real. Me and the big guy have an interesting relationship. He makes sure I don't die, and I try to help people. I can't do the song. I can't do the song thing. Singing the song thing drives me insane. It always has. And most of the sermons are getting like more and more left leaning and more left leaning over and over and over again. They don't want to talk about the end times. They don't want to talk about prepping. They don't want to talk about security. They don't want to talk about the mandates. They don't want to talk about the riots, the protests, and I think church should be more like a town square where the pastor's trying to keep everybody alive through the word of God, or and trying to keep everybody's spirits saved. Because we're all going to burn. I mean, it's going to be convert or die. People don't get it. Having purple hair and doing shenanigans isn't going to work. We're all going to die anyway. We're all going to lose. It's just a matter of if our souls are saved. You're not raising your hands to the music, you're going to hell because the Spirit ain't with you. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, I was in a church. I was in like a youth church once, and it was like almost a contest to see like how to see how high people's hands could be raised. Took me a long time to get used to that. All right, I'm you bet. Going to shut this off. The stream. I'm going to shut my recording off. I'll keep talking. Any questions? Let me know down in the boot. Let me down in the comments. There you go. I write books. Buy my books. And check out my coffee page if you appreciated this. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Bunker Codes podcast. I hope you found our time valuable. Please exit safely and conduct yourself responsibly. Until we talk again, have a nice day.